Hey y'all, it's been a while. Alright, so today we are going to continue the model that I started about a week ago now. Got a pretty nasty cold, so I was just out of commission for a while there. You can probably tell my voice is still a little bit raspy, but I feel great. I just sound a little raspy. Other than that, feeling good. Alright, I see non-sleepers already here. Hi, thank you for the warm welcome back. Feels good to be back. Again, like the first day of being sick, you're like, oh, it's kind of nice. You sleep in, you don't do anything. By day 2, I was so over it, And then I was sick for like a week. It's kind of a weird cold too. I was so lethargic. Usually when I have a cold, I just have like, the typical sore throat, runny nose, whatever. No, I was just like knocked out. I was asleep all the time. Not feeling good. All right, got music going. Okay. Well, I hope you guys had a really good Thanksgiving. I think I missed that too. Let's see. The only other really big news is it's almost my birthday in 2 days. I may or may not stream on Saturday during my birthday. I haven't decided yet. But either way, I'll be streaming the day before my birthday and the day after. So yeah, well, this model's looking really good. Kind of another exciting update is I bought Character Creator 4. It doesn't run on Mac, so that's what I work on, but I have a Windows computer behind me. So I'm not going to be posing this model. I'm going to be preparing a lot of models and designing them in their T-pose state, and then I'll be posing them off stream. I probably will still do pose models on stream, and I'll find out a way to like jump computers and get that set up later. But this will be kind of like a nice, easy stream where I button this up to make sure it's all nice and decimated and ready to go to get posed later. And then I have a second model lined up for us. We are going to be sculpting this CVAC Draconian Drunken Master Monk. So that'll be pretty cool. That is another request from Alexander. I'm really excited about that. But for now, we're doing this Patreon request from Jamie DuPont Labos, and we're mostly done with it. He asked for a princess warrior with a battle axe and a battle dress armor inspired by Raytheon female armor from the game Monster Hunter, which awesome game. I'm really excited for the new one, Wild, which I believe comes out in February. So yeah. Non-sleeper says, how is the Lego coming? Oh yeah, I'm working on this like Lego dragon. Pretty good. I'll probably post updates in Discord later tonight. And Sparky Face is here. Welcome back. And also welcome back to me. I'm glad you're feeling better. Yeah, me too. Again, a little bit of a scratchy voice, but other than that, not bad. So I'm getting back into the swing of things, but at a pretty comfortable, reasonable pace too. I'm gonna set a timer. I'm gonna do a 2-hour stream for y'all. And then tomorrow will be kind of a slightly shorter stream because at 1 p.m. I'm gonna go buy a bunch of hay for my horse because hay season ends in like, the last cutting is like October or something. So I'm gonna stock up until the next cutting, which is like June usually. So I'm buying like 6 months worth of hay. So yeah, tomorrow will literally be hay day. That'll be fun. Alrighty, let me get my timer going. I pulled up the calculator instead of a timer. It's a There we go. That's a timer, not a calculator. Alrighty. I appreciate the warm welcome back, guys. Very sweet. Alright, let's set 30 minutes. Let's get going. I've been kind of like fog brains because I'm still coming out of being sick. But overall, pretty darn good. My husband took fantastic care of me. Gave me lots of good food, lots of good soups. All right, we're gonna add some fabric folds here. Go with my standard brush, turning up my Z intensity, and just adding some nice strokes here. I hope you guys had a nice Thanksgiving if you guys celebrate that. I know quite a few of you are overseas. It was my first Thanksgiving away from home, so that was kind of bittersweet. Other than that, it's pretty good. That was almost like, goodness, almost 3 weeks ago now. Again, being sick for a week, it throws everything off. It's pretty rare that I just completely take time off work too. Not that I don't take breaks and days off and all that good stuff, but I didn't look at emails or anything. It was just my husband responding. So that was just felt weird to not be part of it, you know? I'm really happy to be back. My husband and I have a really good thing going with the business and interacting with y'all, and we really enjoy it. So sometimes taking time off work, it doesn't really feel like a vacation. It just kind of sucks. I'm like, oh, I want to get back to doing what I do. All right, add some nice little fabric folds here. Making sure I don't have too many clipping errors. Very nice. I think that's the only bit of the shirt that really shows, so I can add some stuff right here just to break up that perfectly smooth area. And then maybe some folds on either side of the straps we have. There we are. All right, shirt's looking good. It's at like darn near 1,000,000 points. We definitely don't need that. So I'm gonna crush that down, use and keep poly paint, and then let's bring that down to, let's say, like 50,000 points. Hey, Arch is here. Good morning. Yeah, thank you guys for it. It feels good. It feels like a really good world. Welcome back. Excuse me. Again, I swear I'm not sick anymore. Just my voice is still not fully back yet. The first day that I canceled the live stream, I didn't even know I was sick yet. I just couldn't talk, which again, I mean, I could always hang out with you guys and just sculpt, but again, like no sound came out pretty much. So, and then the next day I was full blown, had a cold. I'm gonna add a couple more fabric folds right here. There we go. Just something to break that up. I think that's all the big updates I have for y'all though. Again, it's been pretty quiet because I've just been, I've been sleeping. Excuse me. All right. So I'm looking at this reference pretty close here. It's pretty heavily inspired by, again, the Raytheon set from Monster Hunter, but a little bit different. They kind of shorten the proportions and stuff. Here's the original from the game, which is a little longer and a chunkier look, which I actually don't care for a ton. But this like hybrid version I super enjoy. My brain's feeling a little slow right now, so I'm gonna make this really easy on myself, and I'm just gonna work top down on this model, making sure it's all prepared for 3D printing, but for posing, which in this case I'll be doing in Character Creator 4, but that will not be on stream. Hey Miguel. And then Miguel's just being silly, saying he's new. Miguel's been doing this for years and has made thousands of models. Yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. I'm feeling much better. Again, my voice is still pretty scratchy, but for the most part, doing pretty darn good. That looks good. This is 80,000 points. Let's see if I can bring that down a bit. And the non-sleeper says, while we missed you, we know some time to heal. We're glad you're back. And sorry you could not be with your family and you have such a great husband. Yeah, no, absolutely. So for those that don't know, I moved across the country this year. So this is my first time not being with family for Thanksgiving and stuff. It wasn't bad. It was good. My housemates are lovely. So it was me and my husband and then one other couple. It was still a very, very good time. All right, that's looking pretty darn good. I can actually lower that even a bit more. Miguel says, I hope you have a lovely stream today. And they're working on a sexy bugbear. Well, I mean, aren't they all? It's kind of implied. No, it's awesome. I hope you have a really good model. I saw the one that you recently shared with Natalie and I. had color on it. It was nice seeing something painted. It was fun. I mean, you already print them and paint them in real life too, but it's fun to see a digital paint too. All right, that's looking good. Now let's get these other pieces going. I'm so happy the way like this bodice piece turned out. Oh, I think it's really slick. All right, I'm gonna subdivide it. Maybe just once. Let's make this its own piece here to add some more curve to this. In order to make sure that I don't lose all these nice sharp edges, I go through my crease function and then I add a subdivision level. But I want to be careful because if you don't crease these corners, you get this kind of like deformed corner business going on, and you don't want that. I'm actually not even certain why it's doing that right now. Got slow brain still. Let me go ahead and see what area needs to be creased there so it doesn't do that. There we go, I figured it out. That wasn't very hard. All right, that looks really nice, really simple. I kind of want a little bit more structure to it, so I'm gonna add some more edge loops here that are creased. Let's do a line here, and maybe across. There we go. So now when I subdivide it, you see there's kind of like these armor creases that happen here. It's a really small detail, but they do serve as like the tiniest of paint catchers, and it's just a nice little something. And then I usually like adding a seam on the side here. That way it kind of makes sense like how she actually can put this on or not. Again, it's not terribly important if it's like perfectly accurate, but it's nice to have little details like this and paint catchers, as I like to call them. Here's a nice seam there. And then let's go ahead and bring that seam together with the inflate brush. There we are. Looking a little funny, so let's go ahead and clay polish that. There we go. That's more the look I was wanting. Excellent. All right. Excuse me. I do think this looks a little plain right here, and the reference, there's another like strap. I don't think I'm gonna add that though, because as of now, I really like the flow of this armor. I think I'm gonna largely leave it the way that it is. Now I'm gonna simplify this here because we're at about 1,000,000 points. There we go. That looks good. And let's see how our mesh is doing. Also good. And this is a piece that really won't deform much, so I can really decimate this as much as I want. Again, I'm playing with a different workflow here where I'm gonna kind of like combine my pre and post processing right now. Here we go. Excuse me. So my plan is pretty much after this has been posed, I can just remesh by union and call it good. Again, whenever you're introducing a new like software into your workflow, none of this is actually going to work the way that I'm hoping it's going to work. But I have a plan for now. Every single time I say I have a plan, I think of Dutch from Red Dead 2. Like every single time. I mean, I can't do it in his voice because it's not like an accent really. It's just like, I'm not a gravelly old man. My husband can do it like perfect. All right, that looks good. Yeah, just kind of working through these pieces right now. Coming along really nicely. Like this will be sitting on this shoulder pauldron pretty much the entire time. So let's go ahead and divide those down and make that one piece. The poly paint's not terribly important right now. I just enjoy having it. So this is 25,000 points. Let's bring that down to 10. And I'm keeping a close eye on my total points right here. I'm at 2.2 million. I may bring that down all the way to 300,000, and that just makes character creator happy. And then my final model export is usually under about 200. I'm gonna add one more loop here. I wonder if I exported this into my asset library yet. It's very simple, but it's just a nice little piece. I can't remember if I did, so let's go ahead and throw that in my asset library. Desktop, ZBrush, Mia asset library. I don't know what Horde is. I just have a corgi in there. A lot of folders. All right. There we go. And then shoulder. Oh, I did export it. Very good. Let's add a little bit more visual interest here. And to do that, I'm just going to extrude a couple poly loops and then add some trim to that. So let's go to extrude poly loop. Let's pull a face off right there. And then maybe add a couple bands by inserting some edge loops and extruding those as well. There we go. It's a simple little thing, but just adds a little bit more interest right there. Very nice. Went ahead and inflated the whole thing. And I also think it'd be nice if there was just one more layer here. You can duplicate these really easily by bringing up your gizmo. And when you hold command and click and drag on this, it automatically duplicates the piece that you have unmasked, which is nice because I like to work within the same subtool quite a bit. Very nice. All right, let's bring down my poly count. Non-sleeper asked, did I use poly paint to reduce polys, or did I mishear that? Oh yeah, you misheard that. Those are not related. And then Nerd says, hi friends, hey, welcome back. Glad you're feeling better, Mia. Yeah, much, much better. I don't really know if I'm trying to debate if I want to add more texture to this. I think I do. No, no, excuse me. God, my voice is still like holding on. Non-sleeper, you're totally mishearing things. I'm referencing a video game, Red Dead 2, where one of the main characters, Dutch, he has like this classic like gravelly old man cowboy voice, and there's a line from it called like, he pretty much, he always says that he has a plan. Anyway, it's like an ongoing joke within the game. All right, let's go ahead and, I want this to kind of have like a nice leather texture to it. So I'm gonna go with my Alpha 60 here and add some of that in. First, I'm gonna separate off these stitches because the stitches can be nice and low poly like this. I'm gonna keep that just as is. Very good. And now this. I'll have to divide that pretty high. And I'm gonna kind of just carefully add some of this in here. I want this to be a really nice area for a wash and kind of to look like monster skin. Probably even more fitting if I made it green, similar to like the scales of a Raytheon. I had plans for an entire Monster Hunter collection. I made all those models. I just haven't released them yet. I was gonna do a Kickstarter and I ended up not because we moved across the country and, you know, timelines kind of got a little funny. But I'm sitting on a lot of really cool models that have probably more than a couple dozen that haven't released yet. So probably gonna just drop those for my patrons sometime in the next month or so. I'm talking to my husband about it. We're gonna figure out something fun to do for y'all. All right, that looks nice. Taylor says, is this based on a pre-existing character? No, not really. It's kind of based on this armor set from Monster Hunter. And it is similar. But it's not like... In Monster Hunter, like, you don't play as, like, a specific, like, hero or whatever. It's not, like, playing as, like, Geralt of Rivia from, like, The Witcher. You design your own character. You can look like whatever you want. This is just one of the armor sets that you can create after fighting certain monsters. In this case, a Raytheon, which is, like, this big, beautiful female dragon. And she's green and poison specialty. Also, hi, Taylor. So right now I'm being careful on just the way that all these subtools are fitting together, and I'm really paying extra attention to what is going to be an accessory and what's going to be binded to the skin of the mesh. And if you're like, what the heck does that mean? Essentially, that's when I, excuse me, rig this for posing. I'm going to be considering part of it like pieces that will move with the body, such as like her long sleeve shirt. That's going to form exactly. But this kind of belt piece here with these monster claws, they're going to move with the body, but they're not actually conforming to her body. So I want to make sure these are a separate piece. So I'm handling these in Character Creator. I'm going to be listing these as an accessory and not binding them to the skin of the mesh. As of right now, I don't have a plan of how I'll be sharing my Character Creator workflow on stream, because it doesn't work on this computer that I'm using right now. But I know I can figure it out, and once I'm more comfortable with using Character Creator or whatever workflow I end up working out, I'll make sure to share that with you guys. Thanks for stopping by, Miguel. Bye! And then non-sleeper set are the laces from a brush. I mean, kind of. I made them myself, largely. Let me show you guys how to do laces, because it's super easy. I'm gonna pause ads, because whenever I do a demo, ads pop up. Okay, no ads. All right, if you go to your curved tube brush here, which is in your brush palette, somewhere in here, I have it just docked in my custom UI. All you have to do is turn off symmetry and draw in a scribble. Turn off symmetry. Anyway, draw in a scribble. So see, I have this piece right here. It's a little more inflated just because of the size of my brush. You take that right here, you duplicate it, and mirror. And there you go. Now you have a cute little lace set, just like that. Obviously these aren't quite as refined as the ones that I just made because I did them so quickly, but you get the idea. So non-sleeper is one of my mentorship students. So if you are a student or a prospective student and you're watching the stream right now and you're like, oh, I want to learn how to use ZBrush, like how did you do this or this? Ask questions. I love answering questions. I'm very, very transparent in my process and happy to share. All right, this is going pretty darn good. So this mesh right here, the body, has 1,000,000 points on it. I have this nice low subdiv and this high one here. I'm gonna delete all the subdivision layers, which is odd. Usually I keep them so that I can pose. But in this case, I'm gonna be trying a different software after stream, so kind of changing things up. We've got about 10 minutes left on our timer here, and we're just about buttoned up, which is excellent. Did it not? I feel like it didn't decimate. Let's try that again. There we go. If you have any piece of your mesh hidden and you try to run certain operations, usually it won't work. So if you're ever having issues with ZBrush and like an operation just is not happening, whether it's Decimation Master or ZRemesher, just make sure that all your pieces within that subtool are actually visible. A quick way to make that happen is just holding Command Shift and clicking somewhere off of your mesh. Make sure you're like within this like canvas artboard though. All right, that looks good. So these pieces here, I want to make sure that I don't, I want to make sure that they're still separate pieces, because even though they're not going to be like flowing in the wind because they're like these thick armor pieces, it's important that I can pose and adjust the layers later on. And as far as like how I know what to keep separate and what I want to have moving or not, that's just from like years of experience of like, I've posed so many models at this point where I'm kind of used to what is going to move in what ways. The chainmail here requires quite a few polygons. I'm going to inflate it so each one of these links is slightly touching, and that will make it so it 3D prints without any issues. This also paints really, really well. It's going to require a bit more detail, which is fine. I'm going to remesh by union. We're currently at 50,000 points. Looks good. And then I'm going to bring that down to 10,000 and let's see how that looks. Not bad. All right, I'm gonna leave that just as is. Now let's check on these boots. These boots here are at over 100,000 points. Don't need that. And there's a couple of mesh errors, pretty much like where faces are overlapping or some kind of funny business. So let's go ahead and handle that. Perfect. That's all fixed. Excellent. So this is my plan for today. I'm just working on this Raytheon Princess here, and then afterwards I have this CVAC Draconian slad I'm working on, or not a slad, it's a CVAC Draconian. It's from Dragonlance, and it's gonna be a little different because I'll be making a Drunken Master Monk subclass version of it. But that's my plan for today. I'm curious if you guys are kind of hanging out and working on your own things. Like, I'd love to know what you guys are working on. I'm always surprised by how many creatives are hanging out in the chat and doing their own thing. I always find that really cool. My housemates and I are all in the same group chat, and for whatever reason, my phone likes to get messages super late. So like whenever I look at my phone, I'm like, oh, there's a picture that was referenced like 2 hours ago. Really happy with how these armor pieces turned out. Really simple and really effective. Taylor says, I'm handling an enormous file in Navisworks. Not so much a creative endeavor at the moment. Yeah, I get that. I mean, I have days like that all the time where I just have to post-process a bunch of models, and sometimes it goes really quickly, and other times it's just kind of like this perpetual troubleshooting, trying to figure out what is being silly. Alright, so there's still about 1,000,000 points here, so I'm going to figure out where all of these points are hiding. I'm going to look at my active points down here and kind of scroll through. Oh, found it. That was easy. It's just the shirt. All right, looks good. I think this model is all pretty much ready. I want to see what kind of battle axe I want to include here. I have a library here of different weapons I've used and created over the years. I may modify one of these or make one brand new. I think I'm going to modify this one to look more similar to this axe we have up here. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we have this nice axe here. These blades are a separate piece. Let's add some more interesting poly paint. Add some more like white highlight. Excellent. Alright, so here's the actual battle axe from the game. I want something similar, but not the same. I'm really enjoying this one up here, so I want kind of like a hybrid of my two references. And then non-sleeper asked about the chainmail I created. The chainmail I started with one ring and then copied and moved, correct? Yes. And then Taylor mentioned the project they're working on is NDA, unfortunately, which for those who aren't familiar, NDA just means non-disclosure agreement. So this happens a lot with artists when we get commissions where we can't talk about it, which I always found kind of annoying because like there's an NDA work I did for, I think it was a Lego, and I can talk about it now because the project's out, but I did this custom demon chess set for them and they paid a little bit extra to have exclusive rights. And then they've only ever used it once. They used it in a giveaway. And like, I've thought about talking to them being like, hey, can I buy my work back because you're not using it? And like, I could have gotten a lot more use out of it. I mean, they paid me very well. Lego has been fantastic to work with. I really can't iterate that enough. Like, if you're looking at buying a resin 3D printer, I highly, highly recommend Lego. That being said, there has been very few projects I've worked on that I actually thought warranted being NDA. All right, so right now I'm kind of chopping up this piece over here and just kind of playing with the shapes. Looks like my timer's run out. Let's get another 30 minutes on. And I don't even have any specific goals for the timer right now. I just have this on here purely to kind of keep track of time for myself. All right, I'm gonna turn on transform on my Z axis, or my Y axis, which means that it'll affect front to back as well. So for example, if I start pulling on the edges here, it is not doing what I thought it would. it's going to be Z. Anyway, it just means that it's going to deform the back and the front of the model at the same time. There we go. I might need to mirror and weld these first because the entire axe is a little bit crooked. So let's go ahead and fix that up first so that I can use symmetry. So to fix that, I'll click on Unify, and then I'll manually adjust this mesh so it's upright, and then I can mirror and weld across the X or the Z axis. Looking pretty good. I need to do a couple more manual adjustments. It is hard surface, so I want to be careful not to deform this too much. I do kind of like that inverted rivet in it. That's kind of cool. Not my intent, but it's kind of cool now that I'm seeing it. I think I'm gonna leave it. In order to fix that, all I have to do is drag it across the center line, and then it'll patch that to be just a solid edge. Alrighty, happier with that. Let's go ahead and subdivide this a few times. All right, now I'm gonna kind of play with a more interesting shape here. Usually when I'm making a weapon like this, it is very, very low poly, but since I'm modifying something I already have, it's a little bit of a different workflow. All right, I like this. I like that it's a little uneven too. I'll probably incorporate some elements from this Raytheon armor set back into the weapon as well. Kind of like a hook or a nail somewhere. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. My overall proportions I want to be a little bit different. So I'm gonna duplicate this handle here and kind of find a different shape. Got something funny going on here. Delete. I think this piece had something floating in the center of it. Let's go ahead and close holes. Ah, yes, that's been repaired now. There we go. This is looking very cool and much different than what I had before. I like it. All right, I want to be working in symmetry across two axes now. So I'm going to do X and Z, which means left to right and front to back in this case. I'm just kind of buttoning in the seams here. This is one of the strengths about having this asset library too, because I was able to create something totally different than what I had visually. Check out how new that is and how fun that is. Obviously very recognizable, but I have no problem with models looking recognizable across my sets. Excellent. I think I want this blade up here to be a bit larger. And other than that, I'm pretty happy with the proportions here. So I'm gonna merge these blade heads down, select both of them, and increase the size. Whenever I'm playing with proportions, I kind of make it a general rule that I like to change my sizes by at least 20%. Hey, Sai is here. Hi, welcome back. And Sai mentions, I've been missing the streams. It's nice to see them back. Yeah, I was super sick for about a week now, but I'm feeling much better. Yeah, I got sick the day of Thanksgiving, and it was just not a super fun time. I wasn't like nauseous or anything, but I just had a really bad cold, which I know sounds really lame. I don't know, this cold like kicked my butt. I was just asleep a lot. All right, well, there's our battle axe. I'm really, really happy with this. I want to widen up a couple portions here just so this model, okay, why are there so many of the same piece right here? Yeah, see what go away. It's very important that when I'm working on meshes like this, I make them as wide as possible and as much material as possible, and that's because these are all designed to be 3D printed. So it just kind of covers my bases. I frequently work on models where it does benefit them to be really like elegant and slim, but if that's not the case, I really go out of my way to make sure that they're as substantial as possible. Especially with something like a battle axe like this. There we go. See, I added probably about another 15% more material to this, but it didn't affect the overall silhouette. It still looks really nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and merge all these pieces down and then run a quick decimation master over it because it doesn't need to be this many points. And I'll probably put this back into my asset library and the iterations continue. Taking a little bit of a risk having like this doubled edge right here, but I just think it looks really cool, so I'm gonna keep it. All right, let's add that to our warrior princess here and kind of see how everything looks together. I haven't added any of the dragon parts to it yet. If you've played Monster Hunter, you know it's like these ridiculously oversized weapons, so I want it to be pretty much the height of the entire character. Looking good. And so I'll go back into my asset library under weapon. I'll call this a great axe. Now I'm trying to think if I want to add anything. Like some sort of like scale detail. The model silhouette's really strong right now. The design is really clear. So when I'm adding more to it, I always make sure if it's actually feeling necessary to the model. I think this is pretty darn solid as is. Now I'm going through and combining and simplifying any subtools I know will move together, such as like the straps on top of this like breastplate. That's all gonna move together. I'm able to quickly like scroll with my subtools here by holding Option. And when you click on them, it'll automatically select, which is much easier than having to scroll through your subtool menu and like finding each one. I think conversely, you can click N on your keyboard, and there you go. It'll show them up right here as well. I actually learned that recently thanks to live streaming. People kind of taught me some new hotkeys and stuff, which is pretty nice. I think we're all set. I'm gonna kind of leave this be, and now we're gonna move on to our next model of the day. The non-sleeper says, Ricky, if you are here, thanks for taking awesome care of our mentor. Yeah, Ricky is my husband. He took care of me while I was sick. He is not here right now. He's actually out running some errands. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and collapse all of this here. Very happy with how this turned out. And then bring up references for our next model. This is from Alexander Engelhart, and this will be a Sevac Draconian, which is a drunken master monk, which is what a fun subclass. They're actually adding that to Baldur's Gate 3. And he mentions they're also a chef, but that's not critical to the look. That's more so like a flavor thing. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and save this down. This can be our warrior princess. And I'll call this pose ready. There we go. I am really, really happy with this model. I don't have anything super in mind for the pose quite yet. I'll kind of play with that when I'm in Character Creator and seeing what works best. It feels so weird not to pose the model on stream. As I'm kind of taking this moment to kind of button up any loose ends, if you guys have any questions about how any of this was sculpted, please let me know. All right, well, I think it's time to get started on our next model, y'all. Let's get rolling. So if you're new here, I'm actually starting a brand new model right now. And I have this beginning ZPR, which a ZPR is a file within ZBrush. And essentially I created this to help jumpstart my project. So it has a bunch of different meshes I've used and created over the years. So a couple of these human meshes are ready to go. However, we're not creating a human today. We're gonna be creating a dragonoid. So let's go ahead and grab one of those. I've made almost 1,000 models over the last 5 years. So I have a huge library of stuff to pull from. Animal humanoids, here are all the different animal humanoids I've made over the years. Like I have a frog folk, I have some cats, a monster frog. In this case, it'll be a dragonborn male. So here we are. Nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, but we're gonna slowly transform this into whatever my collection of references is here. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So this is going to be a monk. This is just a race example. So these are all references I've grabbed on the internet. If you look closely, you'll see I usually, if I can find who the artist was, I always make sure to credit them. Like this monk here is from Evil Lord on Reddit. This is one from Twitter. Again, I'm not copying any of these references. They're exactly that, they're references. So I'm going to be kind of like grabbing components from this I think are going to suit my character best. So for this monk, I think it's important that it's very like loose fitting clothing. I'm a huge fan of this piece from DeviantArt. Dandra Elise, it looks like. I like the asymmetry of this. And I also like that it's kind of like this robe is falling open a little bit. One, it kind of emphasizes what a nice dragon silhouette we have here. And two, again, he's a drunken monk master. So loose fitting clothing makes a lot of sense, ease of movement, and also he's a drunk. So I want the clothes to be kind of sloppy as well. So I'm happy with the pieces I'm seeing here. I can run through my asset library quickly here. I don't think I'm gonna be using a whole lot of my assets for this specific model. And you'll see pretty quickly how much these assets transform model over model. I mean, you guys just saw the great axe that I modified. So any assets I piece in, so like obviously this is fit for a female woman, human, not a dragon male, but you'll see as I work on it and how it kind of transforms. I'm kind of looking at these layers here. I think I have some wrappings I can grab. I delete everything from this subtool. And let's look over here. This is a really nice simple belt with these wraps here. I like that. Let's go ahead and include that. And then also I'll add some nice poly paint here so you guys can kind of see the model better, and it really helps bring this character together. Any pieces here that I want? I don't think so. Monks are pretty simple, and I do have an asset library I've created with a bunch of different pieces like potions and packs, all that kind of stuff, but that won't come until later on. And then I do have like these nice kind of monk-like pants I've already made right here. However, they're not for this like digitigrade legs. Digitigrade legs just mean that they're not, they have like this hock joint right here. So yes, it will not fit him. All right, I think those are all the pieces I'm gonna grab. I'm gonna go ahead and delete what's left. And let's go ahead and start poly painting and piecing this guy together. It's a pretty good, boring base point, so let's go ahead and put a little stamp here, and this will be our starting point for this model. All right, that's our starting point. The first thing I'm gonna do here is run through it and give it some poly paint. I actually really like this color scheme right here. The sea back is supposed to be this silvery color, but as long as I capture what that head looks like, the color actually doesn't matter too terribly much. All these are designed to be 3D printed, so any color choices that I do are purely just for like my own enjoyment. So I think for the color, what I'm gonna do is pick like this nice kind of like warm tan base, and I'll go over with this like dark silver on top. This color is a little greenish, so I'm gonna push it a little more into the red and add some more saturation. There we go. So you can see there's like these gems embedded in his head right now, and that's actually from a previous model I made. It was like a gem dragonborn. In this case, he will not need any of these accessories, though they are a lot of fun. I'm gonna be following the head a lot more closely to this reference I have pinned right here. So it's actually a pretty unique dragon head shape. But I want to get him somewhat dressed before we do that. these pants are kind of already a nice start. Let's scroll down to my monk reference here. And let's get some of these wrappings put together. It's amazing how much just like a little bit of poly paint does. And then these buckles here, I don't want any metal. I'm pretty sure that like monks and druids, I try to avoid having metal accents on them. I like doing all of like leather and cloth wrappings. This would be a nice point to have like a lighter highlight. There we go. And especially with a model like this, it's supposed to be this like monk drunken master. Asymmetrical details are going to be a really fun thing to add. I also don't want this like back hawk point right here, so let's go ahead and go trim dynamic and just flatten those out. Yeah, different. So in this subtool, I also have a version of his head that is not smiling. So if you guys noticed this before, he kind of has like a smiley look to him. Yeah, like this. I'm undecided if I want that for this model. Again, the drunken master monk is so fun. So I would like to have as much personality in this face as possible. Do you guys think I should make him smile or not? I'm not sure. I'm thinking about it. Oh, someone new is here. Hi, I think it's Notana. I'm gonna call you. That's what I'm gonna call you. Not bad. Keep it up. Thank you. Yeah, we're so early on in this model, but it's got a lot of promise. It's got a good start. I like doing combinations of characters like this, where it's kind of something unusual. Like most Dragonborn that I do are either like these paladins or these great warriors. I've done quite a few rogues, but I don't think I've ever done a Dragonborn monk before. This is going to be a first. I'm not too pressed about having any of these details fit the model perfectly. Right now, we're really just concerned about finding the silhouette and main pieces and assets I want to be here. I love this reference so much that I found on DeviantArt. The asymmetrical details are really, really nice, and I love that it incorporates a bit of armor. All right, so this is kind of silly because again, I designed this asset for a human woman, and this is a dragon man. You can kind of see the way that I construct these assets here so I can reuse them is they're in very like discrete pieces. So I can go ahead and split this belt off. Now we have two pieces here. I'm gonna hide that. I have symmetry turned on, and we're gonna fit this to the body first. As I mentioned earlier, I want this to be pretty loose fitting. So I'm going with my move brush at a pretty high intensity and doing large movements. I don't want to come in here and do a bunch of tiny little movements. It just makes your mesh look kind of lumpy. I do a pretty good job of like narrating as I sculpt and like what's going through my mind. But if you have specific questions about what's going on, no question is too basic, so feel free to ask, don't be shy. In addition to releasing 3D printable models, I also teach, so I'm very, very used to answering what people would consider stupid questions. They're not. It just means that you're new. They were all things that I didn't know the answer to at some point. All right, I like this a lot, and then when I texture it, I'll make sure it has these really nice loose fabric folds to it. All right, I'm pretty happy with this. Now let's go ahead and loosen the fit. Yeah, one of the things that's going to be crucial to how this is fitting is these trim pieces here. I don't want getting too wavy. See how they're already looking kind of crooked and stuff? I can clean that up really quickly by adding a crease modifier. What that does is it comes into these polys here and it adds this dotted line on the edges. It's kind of hard to see. I'm clicking undo and redo really quickly so you guys can see it. And if you've creased it, then you can go by polish by features and it will straighten that up. I'm gonna go ahead and split these into two unique pieces again. And then really get this kind of disorderly fit here. What's kind of ruining this line here is the fact that it curves down and then up on itself. We want it to be like a smooth, drooping C-curve. So let's go ahead and achieve that. Again, I'm using the move brush to achieve all this. This is a good example of what I'm talking about when I'm using references. So I'm looking at everything I have pinned here, but I'm never just like working top to bottom and just like cross-checking and copying everything. You're kind of just, when you have references, you want to capture what is kind of like the essence of that model. What are the things that make it identifiable, easy to read, and interesting? So it's kind of like a kit bashing of ideas, if you will. Another nice detail here will be adding a large fabric fold on top of this belt. So I'm gonna go with my standard brush, add this crease in here. Notice that I'm very low poly. Kind of just add some more visual interest. There we go. Isn't that crazy how much this has changed from like that cute little, you know, feminine bodice I started with? Sai says, a question more about your art. Do you have an ultimate goal you're working towards or specific milestones you measure your improvement by? That's a fantastic question. So I have like a like art board or like references of like who I consider like the greats, like artists that I super admire. I wish I could just rattle off the names to you guys really quickly, but I always forget. But essentially, I always want to make sure that I'm improving my art skills enough so that I can, how do I put this? I want to be able to capture people's vision, bring them to life. So when they see that model that they requested, they're like, that's my character, that's my model, you know? So that's kind of one of my big things I'm looking forward to. And when I can look at a model and know that it looks uniquely me and this requester's vision, I know that my skills have improved, if that makes sense. Oh, Alexander is here. Hello, another like very, very generous donation. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I've been really sick, so coming back to such a generous donation means a lot. Thank you so much. And they say, Alexander says, thank you for the speed on creating this. For reference, the player is fighting pure fisticuffs currently, so no staff needed for at least one version. Okay, cool. I like it. I'm gonna look that up too, fisticuffs. I'm pretty sure that reminds me of like, yeah, so fighting with bare hands. That's kind of what I figured. So these wraps I have here are gonna be fitting really, really nicely. I like it. What a fun word too, fisticuffs. And again, thank you so much for the generous donation, Alexander. You are too much in the best way. I so appreciate it. And again, your models have been so much fun to create. My goodness. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on the head here since you are here. Because I noticed like the CVAX. Here we go. I'm not very familiar with Dragonlance, so I did a little bit of reading. And I thought it was really interesting, like when I'm looking at these different Draconians, there's different types. So I'm actually going to put this in the chat for anyone that's interested. All right, CVAC info. It's just really cool. So this is the page that I was reading about. Something really interesting about CVAC specifically is that when they kill a humanoid-sized or smaller creature, they may change into the shape of their victim, which I thought was just the coolest thing. And I was like, okay, so this isn't just like your classic, just like, oh, it's just a dragonborn. There's actually a list of them. Here we go. List of CVAC Draconians. There's a bunch of different like variants and stuff with names. So this is Arson. This is specifically a male who's a follower of Yantar the Gilder and Gilder. It's a really cool world, and I didn't know a whole lot about it, so it's definitely kind of inspired me to look more into Dragonlance. Oh, they mentioned, yeah, so when they do that like shape-shifting, it only lasts for 3 days, after which it composes into black soot. Just really, really cool stuff. So I'm giving it like this very warm color scheme just because it's easier to contrast onto my canvas here. But really excited about it. This is gonna be a fun one. Something else kind of exciting, Alexander, if you're still here, and anyone else that's on my Patreon as well, I recently bought Character Creator 4, so I'm trying to make it the new normal that every single model I create has 2 poses, and the best way to do that is to rig your models. So I'm working on building a rig in Character Creator, and I'm pretty excited about it. Alrighty here. So this model, again, I was already planning on having 2 versions, but anytime there's a generous donation, I'm always going to go a little past what I was already planning. The layers here I just think are so, so nice. So let's go ahead and add that. There's a couple different ways that you can add layers to your models. What I like to do is take something like a low poly piece I already have and coming through and giving it a nice mask. And bam, just like that, we have an interesting piece here to work with. I don't want it to be quite that ragged, but I do like the shape of it. And then of course, since this is a drunken monk master, there's going to be a lot of different bottles and all kinds of little details on this model. I do like the edge here. I don't want it so much to be like ripped and tattered, but kind of just have an interesting silhouette to it. Also gonna add some more of this poly paint back in here. There we are. Excellent. Just for like that readability. Excellent. Alexander says, they're normally large size. The Drunken Master player is enjoying that mix of cumbersome and speed from the monk. Yeah, I was saying that earlier, like it's so interesting doing like a dragon character, you know, Dragonborn-esque, that is a monk. Because usually, you know, they're always like paladins or stuff like that. I love having like players in a campaign that really just mix and match to whatever character they're most excited about. They're always the most fun to play with too. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my asset library here with these bottles that I have. I might need to make a couple custom ones because I know I have quite a few, like I have like a teacup and stuff. I don't think that's gonna fit really. But I have this interesting bottle here, but not a whole lot of other ones. And I don't necessarily want these little vials. And I'd like this to be a color that really stands out. I'll have some of these pinned to the hip. So since you're here, Alexander, you can actually have some direct input on this too. I have this bottle here. It's kind of like that I just pinned. It's kind of like this like desert ornate, but I also have like these classic tankards. If you know what kind of drink that your player prefers, or I guess your player's character, I'd be happy to specifically incorporate that because again, there's a lot of different drinks out there. As of now, with this other like this kind of like this green gourd I have right here, it's looking a little more almost desert-esque, which is still very cool. If I were to do this, it's more of like a, you know, like high fantasy, something that's fitting for like a town. I could also incorporate both. I mean, he's a drunken master, so he probably drinks all of the things. Or even like that classic like long neck bottle, not for like a beer, but for like a rum or whiskey. I could do that too. Volt Robot's back. Hi! Greetings, fellow humans. Yeah, welcome back. Again, it's been a hot minute. I was very sick, but I'm feeling much better. Oh yeah, Alexander mentioned, yes, that's right, he's a chef. He's a chef. Something coming out of a kitchen would be great. Also, since he's a large size, it'd be funny to have a larger object, like a cask being used. Oh, that would be super fun. Oh, that would be fun. I could put it on his back. You know, that again reminds me, I keep thinking Baldur's Gate, because I am about ready for another playthrough of that, and they're adding this subclass into the game. Gosh, a whole cask could be really funny. And I could put it on his back, like a backpack. And I do have a couple things I want to add as far as like nods to him being a chef. Because I have like this wooden spoon here. I'm not going to give him a plate of cookies. That's more like a baker. Still fun though. And then any of these little pouches and stuff, I can imagine like cooking ingredients. It also fits well for being an adventurer, but like I like the idea of all these little pouches having like spices and stuff like that. And it'd be so easy to like tuck this like mixing spoon into his belt too. Especially on top of these wrappings, so they have like a really nice contrast. I'm just gonna kind of throw this right here just for me to have a reference for later. There we are. Now I'm liking this tankard here a lot. And then Volt says, glad to hear you're on the mend. Absolutely. My voice is a little raspy, but I feel great. I've been sleeping great, so everything's good. Alexander says, if not, then the mugs or bottles could be tiny versus a size, as another humorous nod to a size. That's a very good point. I like that. So, relative to... I usually make my Dragonborns about like 7 feet tall, so they're usually like a full head taller than my other human minis. Is that big enough, or should I go even bigger? I mean, I always provide a no-base version, so you could theoretically scale it to whatever that you like, but I think it'd be enjoyable to have it correct scale out of the box for you. Yeah, the idea of having like tiny little like cooking utensils on him to me is hilarious. Like I can imagine him with his like big like claws and hands, like these little tiny utensils while he cooks. Oh, that is silly. Yeah, I don't think this little ornate gourd fits as well. I actually quite like the tankard, and what I can do, something to be kind of fun, is like, see how I have like this foam on top of the tankard? When I pose him, I can have some of that foam like sloshing, you know, to kind of like, again, he's drunken master, so he's usually always, you know, inebriated. I want to give this an even looser fit then to really, again, I don't want him to look sloppy necessarily, but I do want him to look very comfortable and very, you know, monk, but drunk monk. And the asymmetrical details will be a huge selling point to what makes this read well. I like the expression. It's a little too severe, so I think I'm gonna start working on that face a touch more. Oh, I did want to see if this, I wanted to add this layer somewhere as well. Yeah, I think this would be nice. Just to add even more visual interest to this belt here. More is more. Gonna make that slightly darker so it contrasts with the jeans, not jeans, but these pants. Just want them to be a little bit shorter, but still open. Very good. I like it. Then Alexander specifies that Dragonborn are medium size. Sea of Draconian are large, so 2 times taller / wider. Oh my goodness, he's a giant. Okay, so he's gonna be as big as he will possibly fit on. I mean, at that point, he's not even on a 25mm base technically, but I wanna make sure he's still like usable for your player character. So, your human player, your friend. So yeah, I'll make sure that he's pretty much as big as possible to fit on that base. I'll also go ahead and widen these shoulders a bit. There's a couple tricks you can do to make models look larger, and that usually means making their head smaller in proportion to like wide shoulders. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the musculature here. All right, let's kind of scroll up to this head shape too, because it's pretty unique. Alexander says, oh, he's playing him as large, so it is a 50mm base. Oh, okay, well, perfect. All right, well, he's just gonna be gigantic. I'll probably offer a smaller, like a medium-sized character for people that want to play it as a dragon board instead of a CVAC, but very, very cool. Now Alexander said, sorry, you should have specified. No, I don't mind. So scaling models is one of like the easiest things for me to do. I'm gonna put a note on the side here though, so I don't forget to do that. There it goes, and this is gonna be a 50mm base. And I'm also gonna offer a 25mm base. 2-time version. Excellent. Something fun about that is like, I know some other people that print this are totally gonna use this as like a mid boss, which is kind of cool. All right, so since you're still here, Alexander, this is nice because I had a lot of questions for this model as I'm sculpting it. Usually I just make answers myself, but it's nice to have to ask. Anyway, so Alexander, how do you want the head to look? I like the reference from Dragonlance. Do you want it more styled like this, or do you like this more literal dragon-y look I have? The reference here almost looks more like aquatic dinosaur to me, the way that it rounds off. I'm happy to do either. So let me know. I do like in the reference here too, how he has like these fins and like this like goatee almost. And I like that the horns are so seamless. I have more of like a classic Dragonborn base mesh here, so the horns are very much so discrete from the rest of the model, but I'm happy to integrate it as well. There is about a 20-second lag from what I am saying and what you guys hear, so if you respond, it takes me a second to get back to you, that would be why. But yes, I would like to know your preference for the head shape and design. I like his little scrunchy expression here, but I can still change the overall head shape. Right now I'm kind of tucking up these seams, making sure everything is falling nicely. And I'm also gonna zoom out and really think about more of the pieces here. Oh my gosh, the fact that I know he's on 50mm base, there's so much I can do with this. Like, I'm definitely gonna give him a custom base. And that means that these tankards would be so small. Like, so I'm gonna do a couple pinned to his hip here, and I just love the idea of I can really play with this foam later to kind of be sloshing around. And then same with the cooking instruments as well. Oh, what other cooking instruments do I have? If not, I can just make some. I think the teacup is a little too dainty, but it is fun. Oh, I definitely want one of these pouches. I like this set quite a lot as far as, because they look like spice pouches to me. Yes, yes, very good. And I feel like these softer leather pouches here also just really fit that monk look quite well. And also gives another point for me to pin these instruments too. I mean, it's not instruments or cooking utensils, but. Aloha's here. Hi, welcome back. Aloha says, hey guys, hope everything was well. This looks great so far. I recently finished watching the Skeletal Dragon stream. I appreciate the Balhazic love you put into it. Thank you so much. Again, if you watch the stream, you know I love Monster Hunter, and Balhazic is one of my favorite monsters from Monster Hunter, so I'm glad that you saw that. And then let's see. So Alexander specified my question, and they answer, they're basically gene-engineered silver dragons corrupted by Tiamat. So the original head is more accurate as they aren't related to Dragonborn, but I'm all good with artistic license from your end. Okay, absolutely. The reason I kind of like make that face is I'm like, you're so easy to work with. Like you give me these really fun, creative ideas. Like I'm happy for you to be picky and specific, especially because you've been so generous. Yeah, you've just been really cool. Man, I appreciate that. I feel so lucky to have people like you in my community. Just awesome. I'm gonna do like a blend between the two. Because you mentioned they're not related to Dragonborn because they really are just silver dragons that have been corrupted. Gene engineered silver dragons. That's really spot on, and that makes a lot more sense to what I was reading as well. Especially because they have such powerful abilities such as shapeshifting. Alexander says, hey, if the player wanted to make it specifications, he would be on here. So he'll be happy with what he gets. Sounds good. So the big thing that I like in the reference here that I don't have is like these fin-like structures. So I also like the curvature of the horns. Oh, ZBrush is the right fit. Not a worry. Move on over. I always love like whenever ZBrush like has a little fit or crashes, it always pops up this really helpful menu being like, oh, ZBrush crashed. I'm like, I'm very aware, but thanks for also telling me. There we go. I'm not gonna lose any progress because I'm actually working at a pretty like relaxed clip right now. Yeah, I don't lose anything. Perfect. All right, so let me think here. This goofy smile I really enjoy, but I like these fins here and this rounded shape. It's kind of like I don't know if it's called that in everything, but like in horses especially when it's like this huge like rounded like snout, they call it a Roman nose. I guess it's similar in like actual people as well. There we go. I also really enjoy my models being as unique and the silhouette being as unique as possible. So let's go ahead and this really nice rounded curve here, and then these layered scales I really, really do enjoy. The mouth is a little goofy from the front. I'm gonna improve that. I don't want looking too mean from the front. But I mean, he is a dragon, like, esque, so he's still gonna look intimidating. It's kind of like finding that line. I don't want it looking silly. And then I also want to clean up this eye shape here. It's getting a little overly layered, and I like the way that this socket connects to the cheekbone a lot better too. Adding a little bit of shading to the eye, just so it reads a little more clearly on my end. All right, so whenever I'm sculpting new features like this, I'm always very careful to like respect what I call like bone landmarks. So in this case, it's going to be like the edge of your eye socket, which is like your cheekbone. And this kind of connects up here, and there's a hollow space at your temple. And even though this is a dragon and not a human, these rules still apply. So I'm gonna lower the subdivision level a bit. I'm gonna add that hollow spot I just mentioned behind the temple and pull this shape down. There we go. I also like how round this is, this jawbone here. So let's add some more volume. Very nice. That also comes up. Again, it's not going for like a copy of it, but I got permission to do like an artistic interpretation of both, and I think that's really fun. So I would like to do just that. Yeah, what a more interesting chin shape already. I like that. The way his teeth are is giving him kind of like a bucked tooth look, so I'm going to adjust that. Because I don't want that. To kind of fix that, we're going to rotate these teeth down and up. There we go. There we go. We're getting a very interesting hybrid look between the two, and I quite like it so far. I don't like this lump I have here. It's really not serving any structural form, so I'm going to smooth that out with Trim Dynamic and come in with my standard brush. Go ahead and smooth. There we go. And I haven't added any of these plates or fins yet, but that'd be cool. Lois says, off topic, but recently I found it helpful to do small, random 3D sketches with no purpose or pressure or goal in mind. Bite-sized art that I might not ever revisit. Oh, I love that you brought this up. Okay, so not off topic at all, super on topic. One of my favorite assignments to give my students is, it's specifically an assignment where the title is Create Bad. And I mean it, bad art. I want just to, like I say in the description, like alien blobs are encouraged. It's so important, like just set a timer of like 15 minutes and just play with shapes and just have fun. And I've actually like criticized my students for like, I'll give them a create bad assignment and they come back with like this finished piece and I'm like, no, you are to not be that serious about it. Like if it ends up looking good and you find something you're excited about, that's fine. But I can tell like some students will like go into it like with that perfection mindset still. And it's like, the more you're able to let go with your art and just let yourself create, the better of a creative you become. It's so, so important. I love that you shared that. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's very good advice. Anyone that's actually watching this stream right now, whether you are a traditional creative in the sense like you draw or not, no matter what you're doing, it's important to like, don't be so obsessed with it being perfect. The more chill you are about letting mistakes happen, the more happy accidents happen. I also find that it just makes me a more flexible person in general. It's pretty rare that something bad happens in my life that I'm just like devastated by it. Like I'm pretty good with the flow. And I was not always like that. Oh my goodness. Control used to be my middle name, I swear. That's also because, like, again, I was in school for so long. And I say that because I got my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. So it's not like I was in college for a long time trying to get my degree or pursuing upper division degree like my master's or anything. But getting through college, it makes your whole schooling experience so long. It's like your entire life you were in school, right? But anyway, from being in just like normal academics, it definitely made my mindset really stiff. And I was, because you're graded on such a very clear system where it's like yes or no. And in engineering, because you problem solve a lot, you are supposed to be given like partial credit for solving problems. But most of my professors didn't do this. Like they would think partial credit, or like, let's say like it's a problem to solve something. And it's like a basic, like a thermodynamics problem, okay? And it's 10 points. So if you get the answer correct, you get 10 points. But technically you can get partial credit. Yeah, you could like demonstrate your understanding of like the basic laws of thermodynamics and like setting up everything correctly. And they'd be like, but you get the wrong final answer, but you're like so close. It's like just one like addition thing you did wrong. And they'd be like, I'll give you partial credit, 2 out of 10 points. I'm like, that is still like a super F. Like that is, because an F starts at 50%. So a 5 out of 10 partial credit is still an F. Oh my goodness. My professors drove me insane. I don't want to give the impression that I was like a great arguer. I wasn't. I was just like a quiet simmer. I never went to my office hours and complained for credit, even though I probably should have. And then Taylor says, talking about Aloha, like creating something bad is my next lesson. Yes, no, it's so, so, so important. Oh, and then someone new is here. Colby, hi, welcome. Colby asks, oh, let me make sure that ads don't resume. I have to manually pause ads. Oh, they're inserted. I can see that. I'm gonna wait to answer your question in about a minute, Colby. I have some control over ads on YouTube, but not like a ton. It does make me money when you guys watch them, but I think ads are super annoying, and I make plenty of money as it is. I have plenty of generous people that donate. Hint, hint, haha, talking about Alexander in this stream specifically, but also just on Patreon in general. So I do my best just to pause ads for you guys and not have you have to deal with them. I'm gonna wait just about another minute or so, and then I'll answer your question, Colby. Oh, I love how this head is turning out. This is cool. This is a really nice hybrid of the two so far. I like it a lot. He still looks kind of funny from the front. It's just like that dragon curse. Like, same like horses, eagles. There's just certain animals that from the front look really goofy. Okay, ads should be done. So I should be able to talk to you guys now. Colby says, so where are you picking up clients? I'm just using Upwork right now. I want to do game ready assets in the long run, but I see those types of opportunities pop up. Okay, I have to sneeze. 1 second. Sorry, I'm mostly getting better from a cold. Anyway, this isn't like a typical, like, here, let me just link my Patreon to make this make sense. So I create these models to be 3D printed. Bam. So if you click on that link, Colby, that is my Patreon, and people support me there. And I share 3D printable models with them. So I have a request board for legendary patrons, and people, in this case, Alexander is actually the person that requested this model here. And I make that. But it's not like your typical like commission where I go back and forth and there's revisions and that kind of stuff. They kind of just give me a prompt and they let me take my artistic liberty and have fun with it. It doesn't even sound like real. It's I'm so lucky to have this kind of setup, but I guess it's not all luck. Like, I definitely designed my business to best benefit all parties. And this is a very good example of that. So I don't really take commissions. I have had a couple floating around. Actually, I've recently had to cancel one. Sorry, Taylor. So yeah, it's not typical client work. It's pretty unique. If you have more questions about that, let me know. I did my best to answer that question, but I felt like kind of like a weird answer because the answer is like, I don't have clients essentially, but I have had client work and stuff. And as far as like where they find me and that kind of stuff, a lot of them find me through Reddit, my mini factory, Patreon. I have quite a few Kickstarter projects that I've done over the years. I've been doing this full time for 5 years. So I have like almost 1,000 models of mine just floating out in the world. So if someone sees even one model they like, they usually go out of their way to find me and contact me and ask for work. And then Aloha, continue on this fantastic topic they brought up about creating bad art and how important it is. Aloha says, allowing yourself to make bad art, focusing on flowing and feeling rather than the results is absolutely vital. Yep. Flexing the art muscles and discovery is a savior, especially for those slow energy weeks. It's so, so important. And I think a lot of my students burn out on art. I mean, I tell them all the right steps, but whether they actually like understand the concept and listen is something else, because even though I'm telling them all this like touchy-feely, feel-good stuff, people in the way society praises the end result, right? Society, that sounds so dramatic, but it's true. Like at work, for example, you're not praised for trying really hard. You need to get your work done. You need to have a product. You need to accomplish and complete a discrete unit of work, right? But with the creative process, if you only enjoy finishing your product, whatever your art is, you're gonna have a pretty miserable time. But if you fall in love with the process of creating, not only will you finish more work, but you will also just be a stronger creative in general. You cannot be obsessed with that end product. I find my students that get really like addicted to just the finished product and not enjoying the art process burn out within 3 months, pretty much within a season. By the time the leaves fall or bloom or grow or whatever, they're done. And that's pretty common. All right, I think we are about ready to add another stamp here of progress. Looking pretty darn cool. Definitely reading as a monk. I like the beads right here. I also like the belt right here with the drinks he has on. I don't really have an element on here that reads that clearly as a belt, so I'm gonna go ahead and create one of those. And this is how I do it. I'm gonna bring in my curve strap snap brush. Curve strap snap. There it is. Make sure symmetry is turned off, and if you click and drag and then hold shift, it will snap a nice curve. If you're using a ZBrush and you tried to do that just now and it didn't work, it's finicky. It's not that easy, but that's what it's supposed to do. I have students all the time where like they'll watch my lessons and they'll be like, you did this thing and then I did it and it didn't work at all. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. It's the actual finesse of using an art program is something that you just have to pick up through experience. And that's not a very fun answer, but it's just the reality of it. If you go into things with the expectation that nothing is going to work, I find it makes my attitude a lot better. That's kind of my mantra. It sounds negative, but like my mantra is that nothing works ever, which is silly. But with my engineering background, I swear it's a positive. I swear it's like a, it's not as dire as it sounds. All right, I like this belt that I'm kind of forming right here. Let's go ahead and add some more structure to it by adding some trim. So I'm gonna go with my Z modeler brush here. Speaking of, Taylor, if you're still here, I'm really glad you got the full version of ZBrush because that means you'll get the Z modeler brush access as well. There we are. And then having a nice belt buckle. I actually have a buckle brush. It just has a bunch of like fun different buckles. So I didn't create these bucklets. This was a brush that I got on ArtStation, I believe. I like this one. It's like a fun like horseshoe shape. And if I really want to make this look full, something that's like a nice detail to add to your belts is to add that extra flap. And it should be about the exact same thickness as your model. There we go. It also should have like the holes in it to where the buckle would actually clip into. It's not as terribly pressing on a model this small. Again, these are 3D printable D&D minis. I might have the buckle going the wrong way. I can't, my brain is not thinking of that right now. Either way, I have all my pieces here and this looks interesting. I'm also gonna mirror this. No, my excess goes, it was right the way the first time. Yes. I just don't have it weaving through yet. There we go. So much of like 3D art is like, wait, how does that work? How does that fit? There we go. Nice little detail here. And then Loa says, can we get an update on your Dragon Age playthrough, by the way? Any favorite characters? Oh my goodness. Love that, love that. And first, I'm gonna answer Colby's question because it's a little more art business related, but I like your question the most. Colby says, okay, so crank them all out over the internet. Do you make them to be assemblable? No. Currently the headache I have is making them to be assemblable. Oddly, people want them made for FDM rather than resin. I mean, it really depends on your audience that you have found. If you want to build an audience that's based around FDM, you can do that, or resin. Also, I know this is gonna sound really snarky, and I mean for it to be snarky. The amount of clients or just people on the internet that like tell me like what people want, they're just wrong a lot of the time. Again, like the squeaky wheel gets the oil, if you've ever heard that. Make stuff that you are proud of and that you enjoy, and like they will come. Like that saying, build it and they will come. trying to make your stuff modular and all this other BS, like, don't worry about it. Oh my God. If I were to like listen to what the general Yahoo on Reddit tells me to make, I would have every model in 6 different scales and it'd be fully modular and it'd be 10 different poses and a different hat, and like, it's just dumb. Be confident in your artistic style and decisions and make your product the way you want it to be. Once you've established a following or an audience, and like, I like to spoil my audience, right? So people in this chat right now are very sweet, like Aloha and Alexander and Taylor. When they give me suggestions, I listen. That's because they've like established themselves in my community and they support me directly on Patreon too. So like, there's like that mutual like understanding and respect. But I'm not gonna let just strangers on the internet tell me what to make, especially when you're trying to find what your product is going to be. And it sounds like you're trying to find like your clientele and that kind of stuff. Focus on your product first, and then you can take feedback from that audience. Hey, Ferret's here. Good morning. Always good to see you. And Aloha, again, great question. Can we get an update on your Dragon Age playthrough? Amazing. I actually finished Dragon Age the Veilguard on December 4th, which is funny because that is Dragon Age Day. It's not like an official holiday or anything. It's just BioWare and EA has made Dragon Age Day December 4th, and they've done that every year for like 8 years or something. Maybe even longer, but it was fun to finish it that day. I absolutely loved the ending. I did not get the true ending because I didn't do like one side quest or whatever. And I kind of rushed the ending a little bit. I just wanted to know what was going to happen and I didn't want anything spoiled for me. So I now have gone through the entire playthrough. My first playthrough, I was a female elf and I was an Antivan Crow mage. So that was a really interesting, fun combination. I had gone into the plans to romance a character, but I didn't romance who I thought I was going to. My character had really good chemistry with Davrin, which surprised me because she was kind of rude and he's kind of rude in like the best way. But I ended up having a huge soft spot for really all the characters. Not as much Nev, just because Nev really got like the short end of the stick in my playthrough. But yes. So yeah, romance Davrin. Almost everybody lived in my playthrough. I don't think everyone can live. I hope that's not too much of a spoiler, but I think this is the first Dragon Age game where you cannot save all your companions, which I don't know how to feel about that. Sad. Love me some consequences, but like, sad. I'm doing a new playthrough right now where I'm playing a Mornwatch warrior, and I'm going to romance Emmerich because he's necromancer. He comes across, this man does not come across as anything other than gay, but I'm playing as woman and everything's open in that game, so whatever. It's a fantasy world. But probably my favorite character right now is Emmerich. Emmerich talks about, what is it? Thanophobia. It's like the fear of death. And that's something I can relate to immensely. And it's cool to see like that talked about in a video game. And the fact that he's a necromancer and like toying with like lichdom and like, it's just such a cool quest line. So that's probably my favorite character. Closely followed by Davrin. I don't like Scout Hardy as much as I thought I would. I find her kind of annoying in this game, which breaks my heart because I liked her in Inquisition in small doses. But anyway, that's some input on my Dragon Age experience. All good. I love Dragon Age. I really do. Alrighty. I am going to take a quick break, get some water, and again, I'm not sick, but I happen to still have a slightly scratchy voice and a slight congestion, but I'm not sick. A little in denial, but I'm like 99% better. I'm gonna take a small break and be back. Thank you guys for hanging out. It's been a really nice, warm welcome back. Actually, how long has it been? It has been about 2 hours. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up in about 30 minutes, but I'm gonna come back first. So I'll be back in like 4 minutes or so. Thanks for being here. If you're enjoying it and you're new, I encourage you to like the video. And if you want to come back, subscribe. That way YouTube reminds you, you don't have to memorize my schedule. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm back. All right, so I'm gonna do about another 30 minutes on this, and I'll probably be done for today, but back tomorrow. This has been a great stream. Thank you guys for tuning in, and it's like a nice little welcome back. I mean, I'm pretty used to being spoiled by y'all at this point and like having this consistent community that comes and watches me make art, and it's been great. Yeah, I definitely missed it after being gone for a week. Feeling a lot better, and a lot of really good topics talked about today. I mean, I always love talking about Dragon Age, and I always like talking about art, so it's a huge win-win. Pretty good time. And Colby, especially, you're new, and you've had some, or at least you're new to at least leaving a comment. I know a lot of y'all will lurk for a while before you actually talk, but anyway, you're new to asking questions to me, and you've had some really solid ones. If you have more questions, feel free to ask. Every now and then I get derailed by really good questions, and you've had good questions where there's multiple topics I kind of want to hit in that. So I'm never offended if you guys re-ask the same question. I will just give a more concise answer the second time. And I love it. I always love people asking about Dragon Age. I've had some people ask me, it's like, oh, like, I like people ask me my opinions on video games and context to like critical like opinions and stuff, and like I just could not care less how a game is reviewed, especially because like it's a video game. It's like a recreational thing that you enjoy. It's not like reviewing like, I don't know, like a school or like a health insurance plan. Like, it's very subjective, and I just could not care less what public attention was. I like when people like things that I like, but I find that people that take their time to talk about things that they don't like, they're really good at not liking things. And I'm like, okay. I'm all about listening to a hot take. I really am. But I find people that like to complain. I'm like, what do you like? Tell me something that you do like. And they have a hard time doing that. So just keep that in mind. I know some people get really discouraged when they see people on the internet disliking things that they're passionate about. And don't trust any comments from people that don't have anything nice to say. And it's not because every opinion that's valuable has to be pleasant, but I find that they don't have anything else to say. All right, I am loving this character and the silhouette. I think this is really, really going to be a strong one. All right, so this belt has quite a few pieces, so let's go ahead and contain all these. Thank you guys all for the welcome back. We're in the final 30 minutes of this stream, so if you have any burning questions, now is the time to ask. If not, I'm just gonna wrap up the stream at the end of this 30 minutes. Which doesn't mean I'm finishing the character today. This will probably be a two-parter for me. Especially because I have a different workflow going on now. If you guys missed the beginning of the stream, or you're just new to me, I recently bought Character Creator 4, and I already pose stuff pretty quickly, but I don't think Character Creator 4 can pose things faster than I can as far as like setting up the rig and all that kind of stuff. However, if it was between me using ZBrush and making 5 poses in Character Creator 5 or 4, it's definitely more efficient to do multiple poses in that other software. And I am interested in offering more versions of my models, so I think that's where that's gonna shine. So right now I'm kind of picking and choosing how I want these to layer. I think I like this belt on top being the most clear, and I like the idea of having this bodice underneath, but it's kind of making the silhouette unclear. So instead, what I can do is I can actually double up this belt here. Aloha says, I'm sorry for this question a lot. Don't be sorry. I love answering questions, no matter how common they are. Because if you're asking it, I know someone else wanted to know. Aloha asks, how do you go about setting up that library of assets? Oh, yes, absolutely. That's one of the best features I've seen an artist utilize, by the way. Oh, thank you so much. Gosh, you are just a sweetheart. You've been so nice. Let me show you guys. So this software is called ZBrush, and there's a couple terms you guys need to know here for this to make sense. One, you can have a ZBrush file. That's called a ZPR, which just means a project. A project has tools in it, and a tool has subtools. So there's a hierarchy here, right? So again, one more time. There's a ZBrush file, which contains tools, and every tool contains subtools. So what I do is I have a ZBrush project with multiple tools, and each tool is like a category, like shirts or pants or shoes. So all I do is I go to my tool and I import a bunch of subtools. Here you go, like this. So this is my tool full of my subtools that are items. So this is like my pouches, chest. I have instruments in here. This is just like an assortment of items. And the way that you can add an item to a tool is clicking append or insert. Append and insert do the exact same thing. It just depends. It just affects where in the list they show up. But you can move them around, so it doesn't really matter. So I can click append and bring it in here, or I can go to tool at the top here and click import. So I can import any STL or OBJ or even FBX files. So there you go. That is your answer. But yeah, specify all the terminology there because it's kind of confusing, you know, if you're not familiar with it. So again, my asset library is simply a ZPR full of different tools, of different categories of items, and each of those items are a subtool. Right now I'm seeing if I want to add another cross belt here or something of that line. I think I just want this bottom piece to be visible. So I'll crease and polish a few times. There we go. That's the extra layer that I was wanting. Awesome. Excellent, excellent. Aloha says, wonderful, thank you. You're very welcome. Taylor says, I feel art criticism, at least the form it takes online, where critics do not even have experience in the field, has led to a lot of disenchantment for new artists beginning practice. I agree, and I really like the word that you use, disenchantment. Like that really strikes a chord with me. Like artists, like new students and new artists, there's something like so like beautiful and pure because like they're enchanted by like art and they want to be part of this creative process and they want to see. I think new artists, you know, they all have like that hope. They have like this really like secret art style in them and they just want to like find what that is. Like people are obsessed with finding their art style, right? And I agree, like you kind of see them become disenchanted when they see like critical opinion online. And in the beginning, I used to be more of like, I guess like a victim mindset where I'm like, oh, there's so much negativity out there. Oh, people are mean. And then I'm also like, why am I spending any time thinking about this? I just could not care less. Like in my personal life, so people that I talk to like face to face every day, if they don't have experience in a field, like I don't take advice from anyone. If I don't respect what they do, why would I take advice from them? Like I'll listen and be polite, but even then it's pretty weird if someone's giving me unprompted advice in the first place. There's something about reading stuff online or just general public opinion. I think that's very intimidating. you really just have to have the maturity, the mental maturity to like, our brains like to feel bad. They do. You gotta like step above that and don't be mopey. Don't be a negative Nancy. Stop reading crap you don't like. Kind of on that thread, like I'm on Reddit a lot, and I remember like if I see like a comment that's really downvoted, it hides it. But I'll like open it because I'm like curious. I stopped doing that. I'm like, why am I opening up little like crap presents on the internet? If it's downvoted for a reason. Stop looking at it. Curiosity. So I want to add some of that visual interest here with these like large scales, and I want it to respect the hierarchy of forms here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask this section here. And so now only this section will be affected by the deformations I'm about to do with this brush. And this kind of brush is called a VDM brush. I'm also going to turn off perspective so that way I'm square on and have the most control. If you know what, these are going to be somewhat close together, so I'm going to layer from the back forward, otherwise it will kind of distort each following up scale. So there we go. All right, so we have a nice bit of visual interest there. I love the detail on that. That's going to be a great paint catcher, and it just looks really nice. I'm going to add the same thing kind of on this jawline and to his chin. There we go. Loving that. That looks fantastic. Quite the handsome dragon fellow now. Lovely. Ferret says, the only opinion that matters is your own opinion of yourself. It's super critical to take advice from people you trust who can be real with you. Absolutely. And it's easier said than done, you know? Like, I struggled for a long time to figure out what people would run around the internet and just like comment straight shit. And I'm like, why would, like, it's so unrelatable, you know, to me. And I'm just like, you think there has to be a reason for it, right? But the reality is, like, they're feeling a way that you probably don't feel very often. That's why it's unrelatable. Lois says, I recently had my project encounter a corrupted subtool error. It took ages to find which subtool was the culprit, but it stopped any form of saving or editing all my subtools. I lost almost 50 hours. Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. And then they mention, please remember to save backups in massive projects in some form. Oh yeah, my ZPR for my art asset library, I have 3 copies, and then I also have each tool saved independently as well, so I can assemble them however I wish. But very, very good tip. Lots of saving. Oh, someone new is here. How am I going to say your name? I think it's Outaka. Do I call you Out or Aka? I usually just kind of like shorten it. I'm going to call you Out. Out says, hey, first time watching your stream. It's a really relaxing atmosphere here. Oh, I'm really glad. That's kind of what I strive for, you know? Creating art and sculpting characters brings me like a huge sense of peace. It might not come across, I used to really deeply struggle with anxiety. I'm just a naturally high-strung person. Very, I'm not just type A, I'm like triple A, y'all. Like, that took a long time to like find like how to slow down and stuff. And I think I've achieved that in the last couple of years, especially. And like, my God, I'm almost 30 years old. It's time to learn how to relax. But anyway, I'm glad that you say that because I strive for that. And also, creating fantasy characters is cool as heck. So I want as many people to know about it as possible. So another thing that I liked, like a landmark in my models that's important to have is you have these 2 muscles, or I don't even know what these are, whatever, arteries on your neck, and they connect to the top of your collarbones. So again, they go kind of behind your ear and they go straight down. I have a line here that implies one of them, but you're gonna wanna have both. So I'll go with damn standard, and I'll kind of go to, in this case, he doesn't really have ears, but kind of sculpt down there. There we go. See, that looks a lot better than just having one harsh crease there. This seam that's right here between the neck and the body, I'll also clean up later in the model. I think it'd be nice if his body had a little bit more scale texture than just being like a perfectly smooth humanoid. So let's go ahead and add some of these scales. This is actually a default VDM brush in ZBrush, and it is just so, so nice. I'm gonna add some accents here, some muscle groups I'm really familiar with, so like his bicep. I also find making a strong point on the elbows is nice. It also just kind of makes it easier to pose, honestly. And then these hands, I'm not too fussed about, because the reality is, once I pose this model, it's pretty unusual for me to have a hand just completely relaxed and open. It's either holding a weapon or grabbing onto a belt or something like that. So I'll mostly just kind of ignore the hands until we're posing. I'm unsure how I want to detail these pants. Usually for a monk, I kind of have them tightened up right above the knee. Aloha says, I don't know why, but this dragon character is giving off Martin vibes to me. He looks like a Martin. I like that. I like Martin. He's a monk, so he's Martin the monk. I'm big on alliteration, so I like it. For those that are just tuning in, this is a D&D character. It's actually a part of like the Dragonlance world, and it is a Drunken Master monk, which Drunken Master is such a fun, silly subclass, and they're actually adding it to Baldur's Gate 3 soon, so that's pretty cool. Man, I'm pretty happy with this so far. Adding a little bit more poly paint here, mostly because it's about the end of the stream here and I'm kind of just buttoning some things up to give me a nice starting point for when I join y'all again tomorrow. Let's go ahead and detail the pants. So as of right now, these pants don't exist. They are fake pants. If you're like, what are you talking about? Let me show you. See how on the inside it's completely hollow? Nothing is there. So I designed for 3D printing, and this would print literally nothing because it doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and make it exist. There's a couple ways to do that. You can click on close holes and it'll make the whole thing solid. You have to be careful with this when you have uneven edges though. So if you do close holes and you have like, this has pretty good thickness on it, but every now and then you'll have like a point like this. And see how it gets really, really thin right here? Just be careful. If that's what's happening, make sure that instead of using closed holes to add thickness and make them your mesh real, use dynamic instead. And then Alexander says, how are you thinking about posing as a drunken monk with wings? I was thinking about having the wings really off kilter. So I like the idea of it being pretty much this pose, but with a, oh, can you guys see that? Yes, with a like curve. So here, I actually need to import the wings anyway. I like, these are the wings I wanted to use. I'm gonna modify them a little bit. All right, we got our wing here. Let's go ahead and give it a nice quick poly paint here. If you guys are curious on how I poly paint, I am very happy to explain. But if not, I'm just gonna run through this very quickly. Here we go. Okay. So monks are really fun to pose because again, they are so agile and flexible, right? But since he's a drunken master, I think it'd be fun that it's kind of like a precarious pose, like this kind of like this sea arc almost. Okay, so these are gonna be very large wings. And let's stretch those on up. There we go. So I'm gonna duplicate and mirror. Okay, so I'm thinking the pose will be like this classic, like 1 foot stand. This is actually called like a tree asana in yoga. And having these 2 bottles in his hands, I think would be so much fun. This pose pretty much exactly, however, leaning as if he's about to fall, and then it'll be compensated to not look too crooked by having the wings kind of like trying to balance almost. So something kind of like this, where the wings are kind of like arcing, trying to stabilize the model. That is my current plan. I'm glad you asked, because it was time for me to add wings to the silhouette anyway. Let's go ahead and mirror and weld these wings, and then we can kind of refine the shape just a touch more. There we are. All right, and then adding some more detail to the pants. I'm gonna add a little bit of trim here, but I'm not gonna crease it like I normally would. We're gonna there we go. And then now my subdivide, it's gonna round off nicely. It's always nice to add some seams. There we go. That's gonna paint really well and just look very nice. Excellent. And now let's add some fabric folds. Fabric folds, I pretty much only use a standard brush. Depending how stylized the fold is, I'll use damp standard to build up an edge. And then Alexander says, that is great, right? What a fun pose is that gonna be? Aloy says, shortly after Baldur's Gate 3 came out, I was able to talk with Shadowheart actress and her girlfriend online. No kidding, how fun. Them saying they liked my art was a favorite artist moment for me. I always remember. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I'd probably just melt on the spot. That's incredible. How cool. Yeah, all the voice actors from Baldur's Gate 3 seem like genuinely pleasant people. I get, like, you never truly know, but I have nothing to lose by just believing they're pleasant people, so I just believe that they're fantastic. I do believe, like, that old saying has weight to it, like, never meet your heroes, but I'm also happy just to think people are pleasant. All right, so I'm just kind of adding some loose pipe folds here. I usually have like these monk pants kind of like cinched up, but I really like the silhouette of this model so far, and I think this is gonna look really nice too. I'm gonna add some small tension folds where the seam would be. You can't really see his butt because of his giant tail, but still like for it to make sense. All right, really coming together. What a fun stinking model. Gosh, this has been great. Right now I'm kind of adding some more detail on these legs. There we go. I'm excited not just to have this pose, but really just to... I know my Patreon community is just gonna love this freaking model. How cool. Oh, awesome. Alexander says, little extra if you want to pop on a chef hat variant. Oh, heck yeah, why not? I actually have a chef hat too. And I'm already going to be doing 2 different size variants of this anyhow. Well, I mean, I have a chef hat that's kind of like the floppy one. It's more like a baker's hat though. Obviously, I can sculpt whatever. But I'm curious to know what your preference is. Let me just get this on here as kind of like a... Oh gosh, he just looks so funny with the hat. I love it. I love it. So it's not fit on there perfectly right now, but you kind of get like a small visual of what this would look like. So this is like a baking hat, but we also have like the classic top hat too. Aloha chef hat or we riot. Alexander says floppy is great. Sounds good. I'm gonna bring up the classic chef hat just in case, as like a little refresher, because it's also very funny. So yeah, these are like the classic chef hats. We have this this is actually the one I modeled it after from YouTube image, not YouTube, Google Images. And then this top one is kind of silly, but it's an option. Yeah, fits the theme. Very good. Oh yeah, it does, because drunken monk master. Yeah, very cool. Or drunken master monk. So, fun fact while we're here though. Do you guys know why there's all these ridges and this chef hat? I'm not sure if it's true. I haven't fact checked it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's true. Each pleat in the hat is supposed to reference one of the ways to fry an egg. It's just showing like how versatile it is to cook with eggs. There's supposed to be 100 folds, I think, in a proper chef hat. So feel free to fact check me on that. I read it somewhere and I was like, oh, I'm going to check that later. And then I forgot. And now we're here. So everyone loves the hat. Oh, that's awesome. Having the hat crooked would also be nice. I don't want it to cover his eye entirely. There we go. And then I will definitely make sure this suits his horns as well. You know, this really suits the model more than I expected it to. Like, I thought it'd be kind of like funny to have like a little hat on it, but now I'm like, I kind of really like it now. Like this to me is the canon version. How big can I make this? Or how small can I make it? Oh, that's so fun. Gosh, that's awesome. We're about done with this live stream here. I got about another 5 minutes. It's a super fun stream. Thank you, Alexander, for the generous donations. We are going to have a little party for that. Always appreciate it. So yes, confetti, 1, because the stream is ending, 2, because the donations are a big deal, and I really, really appreciate them. 3, it's a fun request. What a cool request. So thank you for just requesting awesome stuff in general. You are always welcome to give suggestions without a donation. The donation is always appreciated, but don't feel like you ever have to. So thank you. And I love that everyone loved your suggestion for the chef hat. Like, I think that's very fun. I want to do a better job with the wrappings. They're kind of just placeholders right now. And I do like that they're asymmetrical, though I do think I'm going to have wrappings around his fist. So yes. As of right now, they're more like bracelets. They're not really like proper like boxing wraps. So I'll probably spend some time doing that tomorrow. As well as fine-tuning the pose. Non-sleeper doesn't want the stream to end yet. 2 hours or so is about my goal for streaming. I have had streams get away from me where they go into like 4 hours and stuff, but I'm trying to do better with that. Tomorrow will be a slightly tighter or shorter stream because I need to go buy hay. We're gonna like grab like 75 bales of hay for my horse just so we're done for the winter. So I'll be leaving tomorrow pretty early compared to normal. And then Ricky, thank you husband, he came in with the information. This is the traditional chef hat has 100 pleats, which represents 100 ways to cook an egg. Hey, I was right. The more pleats a chef hat has, the more ways they know how to cook eggs and the more skilled they are. Okay, so there's like a little addendum there that I didn't know about, but pretty close. Really cool though. Thank you, honey, for kind of coming in and clarifying like what exactly that meant. That's so fun. So like each time I learn how to like cook an egg a new way, did they like take their hat off and iron it on the spot? Like, how fun. Okay, that's enough confetti. Though the confetti is fun. We're confetti-less now. All right, let's go ahead and save this. This is a fun one. I'll go ahead and screenshot that as well so I can share that on my socials. What a cool model. I love how the head turned out too. I might do a few more adjustments to it, but overall, I'm liking it. Aloha says, another amazing stream with tons of great tips and calming reassurance for stresses that new artists may face. Hope you feel better too. The channel really is people's champion for 3D models. Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you. A lot of kind words there. And a nice little summary recap of the stream. I like it. Yeah, again, it was a really nice welcome back stream. I missed you guys, so this has been a good time. I think that about wraps it up. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. If you're already subscribed to the channel, that's great. If you enjoy the stream and you want to tune in the future, you can just remember my schedule. It's Thursday through Monday, and I always start at 11 a.m. Eastern time. If you don't want to remember it, just subscribe and then YouTube will tell you. And then all these models you guys see here are on Patreon. And that's just pretty much, it's a monthly donation so that I have a full-time living doing this. This is my full-time job. I've been doing it for 5 years. And one, it's a place to get 3D models for me so you can 3D print them. But if you also want to dictate what I sculpt during these streams, that's where I get my model requests. So every stream that I do is like a present for my patrons. And any request that I make is shared with my entire community as well. So yeah. And Non-Sleeper agrees. Very well said, Aloha. And we love your work, Mia. Thank you, Non-Sleeper. All right. I think that's the wrap up. That's kind of like everything I say. Links to anything I talked about are in the description. There's 2 different Patreons. One is learning how to use ZBrush, I teach, or models. So yeah, they're both cool. Hey, Monkey's here. Hey, made it to a stream again. We're just ending, but thanks for being here. Yeah, no, it's been a long time, Monkey. I was sick. I was super sick, but I'm all better and back to a normal streaming schedule. I might take 1 day off this week because this Saturday is my birthday. I'm turning 28. So I probably won't stream on my birthday, but I might. I don't know. Maybe if I do a birthday stream, I'll just have confetti going the entire stream. That won't get old. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Again, I start at 11 a.m. Take care, and do something fun today. Have a nice treat or something. All right, bye.